Viewers Couch, the Mighty Mandos podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, and like always for the Mandos, I am joined by my special friend who would be the head of Navarro. That's right, it's Mr. Gabe. How's it going, Gabe?
I don't know if I'm Carl Weathers, but, I wear glasses.
It's true. You do wear glasses.
I do. Yeah.
If you didn't know, each and every week on the Mighty Mandos podcast, we go over the newest episode of The Mandalorian from Disney+. This past week, we went over episode 4, or chapter 12, however you want to see it, called The Siege. You can catch us each and every week wherever you get your podcasts, as well as live on Twitch at twitch.tv/theco_operators. Those schedules go up each and every week, so make sure to follow us or subscribe, or I mean, I would love a subscription from you guys, eh, Gabe? Right?
Yeah, I take some.
Yeah. To see when we are coming on next. You can also catch us on social media platforms, but I will go over that at the end of the episode. And then we will also have a special announcement at the very end, so make sure to stick around until we finish up. But I think without further ado, we can just jump right into things, eh, Gabe? What did you think of Chapter 12?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I feel like of all the episodes, this is probably the one for me is the slowest, but also it was fun. I have no qualms yet. We'll see how the next episode goes, but we're still building on the consistency of how good each episode is.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I have some qualms.
It's not my most memorable.
I definitely have some qualms with this one. Yeah, I liked it for the most part. I knew that they had to have a dip, kind of like they did last season around episode 4, because it's about to get real, right? Like, it's about to go into him finding Ahsoka and the other Jedi, whoever they're going to be. It's leading into that, and we needed something to kind of ground us a bit more before getting into something as crazy as all that. So I totally get why it was a little bit slower, but I think that there was a lot that they could have done that they just didn't do, and that included things like giving Cara Dune more like agency, because I liked her as an actor last season, and this one she just didn't really, they didn't give her anything to really do. I don't know if you found that at all, but yeah, I think that there just wasn't enough for her to act in, and it created this kind of weird space where she wasn't able to do what I thought she should have done. Like in the last one, she was such a badass, and she started out kind of badass, and then it kind of like went dull, like went dead for a big part of the episode, and then came back when the chase scene happened, which I have to admit was amazing. I loved that action. It reminded me of like Fast and the Furious in space. I was like, yes, this is what I am here for. But yeah, I think bringing some of the characters back was like too. Like that fish dude, I don't think he needed to be there. Alright, I think you're freezing up a little bit.
I think for me, like I said,
Oh, there you go. Now you're good.
I guess for me, it just feels like it was one of those episodes. It's just not memorable, but kind of. I mean, I could see that there were things that they were putting into it to make it seem like there's going to be more to explain down the road.
Yeah.
And so far, this series, I think, has done a good job of explaining things down the road. I feel like the only thing that I have questions about are from season 1 that are lingering still that haven't been answered are whose footsteps those were in the forest or in the desert, but maybe that'll be answered.
I think that was the Marshal. That would be my guess. But yeah, you're right. They haven't really explained that fully.
But that's it, and that's a pretty good track record so far. Like one thing for me. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like character development, I felt like there were some. Was it necessary for them to go to Navarro? Yes. The ship needed to be repaired.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like because Dave Filoni's directing the next upcoming episode, and because I was just doing some reading, he really is quite attached to the character of Ashoka. It just makes sense that he be the one to like helm the episode where we're gonna see her in.
Which makes sense.
And yeah, it's. I would have been fine just jumping into that episode, but I didn't feel like this. I don't know. I feel like this episode didn't take away from anything, but it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
I was fine with it. I'm fine without it. And I guess for me, I guess that's why I'm not really. I don't really have any critiques about.
Oh, you're glitching out a little bit again. But yeah.
I mean, I guess my only.
Oh, just give it a second. All right. I think you're back. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's just not memorable episode, and I guess that's my only critique about it. You could live with it, you could live without it.
Mm-hmm. I think that it definitely did raise a lot of questions too, and like kind of bring in the outside of like the Mandalorian mythos too. So like the cloning facility, like we talked a little bit about that last season at the very beginning when the doctor had like the Camino sign on his shoulder.
Yeah.
So kind of brought that back too. But we'll get more into that when we get into the overall plot, which I think we'll jump into right now, unless you have any last lingering thoughts you want to do before I get into that.
No. I think this is going to be one of those episodes where we're going to be real fast, because I have very little to say. I'm just like, that was kind of cool. I'm not really going into it with a lot of critique, just because I was like,
Yeah, I'm going to say that this probably, like the Mandalorian episodes, we're not going to drag it out longer than it needs to be, so I would be surprised if we even hit the 30-minute mark, to be honest.
Let's find out.
Yeah. All right, so do you have a theme for us this week?
I do. It's time for the recap. Oh, yeah.
Is that supposed to be Chewbacca?
No.
Okay.
I needed something visual.
Okay.
A little treat for those people who are watching us.
Yeah. Maybe next week we'll bring Baby Yoda on.
Oh.
Yeah. You can see him in my background there. Maybe he'll be a mainstay.
Maybe I'll get a holiday present. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? All right, so the Mandalorian and the child are heading to Navarro. We start with a really cute clip of him trying to explain how to fix the ship to the child, and he just isn't getting that the red wire needs to go where the blue wire was, and the blue wire needs to go where the red wire was, but don't touch the wires. Well, what does Baby Yoda do? He touches those wires together, of course, and gets a little electric shock, gets some like smoke going up, and he's so cute, even though he just kind of got hurt. He's just like, oh, what was that? So, very cute.
Yeah.
But they realize they need to head to Navarro at this point. Because their ship is just screwed, because the Mon Calamaris did nothing, even though they just got paid a ton of money to do it. Here they reunite with old friends Greef, Karga, and Cara Dune, who have since turned this planet around. We get a sweet little clip of Cara Dune actually taking out a group of thieves, smugglers, one of those things, but they're of the race that Punda Baba was from episode 4. If you don't know who Punda Baba is, well, he's the guy who didn't like Luke and got his arm chopped off for it. Excuse me. Cara Dune has become the local marshal. Greef has taken on a role of the magistrate. I think I'm saying that right. And has assisted by the unnamed Mithril, which really just kind of sounds like Mithril, who we saw in the first episode of Mandalorian getting shoved into a thing of carbonite by the Mandalorian. I do not believe that they needed to bring him back. I thought that was kind of a weird callback. I don't know about you. I thought they could have like brought in a new character, but you know.
Yeah.
There was no reason to bring this character back, because I didn't even think he was a bounty for the main people. He was just a random bounty. They could have just had anybody do this role, but they decided to bring him back.
They really could have.
Yeah. I would have liked to see some kind of, like, I know we talked a little bit about cameos last week, but I would have liked to see a different cameo. Like, just bring in some random Hollywood person to, like, play an alien for an episode. Like...
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Yeah,
in
I would love to
yeah.
know specifically why Horatio Sands' character came back, and I don't know if that's because they're friends or whatever. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So in return for the repairs to the ship, the Mandalorian agrees to help destroy an old Imperial base on the other side of the planet. Here they leave the child at the new school that has been created on Navarro, which is sweet, showing that they're actually like advancing into a new, not just being an outer rim planet, but being like a true planet that will become the center of trade within the area. The child is placed in the new school, and he wants a awesome like purple, not purple. What am I talking about? Teal-y macaron that one of the other students has, and the other student's such a jerk. He has like an entire pack of these cookies, and the cute ass new Baby Yoda who's like next to him was like, "Can I have a cookie?" And he's like, "No, these are mine." Well, what does the Baby Yoda obviously do? He uses the Force for the first time this entire season to steal cookies from the other child. Like, it's kind of a jerk move, but also like, yeah, you go, Baby Yoda. He was being a dick. Those things look delicious too.
I mean, they look pretty good, so I don't know why. He had a lot of them.
Yeah.
He could just share.
He could have just shared one. I'm sure the baby would have been, or child would have been happy. Baby Yoda would have been like, sweet cookie, new friend. Instead, he's like, I'm gonna steal from you because you're a jerk. We also, yeah.
Power of education. There you go.
Yeah, when you don't help out a friend with one, they're gonna steal all. That's a good lesson to learn, I guess.
Let that be a lesson to all those bullies.
Yeah. Actually, more and more, Baby Yoda's becoming the bully.
I agree.
Yeah, he's kind of becoming a little dick, but maybe he'll get better. They had so the Mandalorian, Grief, Kara, and the Mithril, I don't know, have headed to the base where there's supposed to be a skeleton crew. And the stormtroopers patrol the corridors of that place. They are stuck outside until Mandalorian goes up, throws a dude off of the catwalk, and opens the door for them. During their time through this, they realize that this is not actually a small skeleton crew base, but is actually a scientist laboratory where there are vats of cloned bodies. The scientists are attempting to destroy the evidence of all their misdeeds, but they are able to take out these two scientists beforehand, and Mithril uncovers a recording from Dr. Pershing, who was in episode 2, I think 2 and 3 of last season, who's the one who was trying to like save the baby, somewhat at least, but he reveals that the transfusing the blood of the child, which has a high M count, I don't know why they just didn't say has a high metachlorian count, because that's obviously what it is, into test subjects that are shown. We also learned that the test subjects are not accepting the blood properly. There was one almost good case, and then it died out as well. So, so they're not actually getting the progress they want because they don't have the child's blood to take. The stormtroopers then start to swarm in, and reminiscent of the first episode 4 of Star Wars, where they are going through the Death Star for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
They are
those bodies were kind of interesting because it and maybe because I watched it quite recently, but it just reminded me of Palpatine, and I didn't know if they were clones of Palpatine or they were trying to like resurrect him. I don't really know, but it was kind of weird.
Yeah, so
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that because I have a theory about all that, but I don't want to break this up too much with that theory, but I'll get into that a little bit later because it's very convoluted, but I think very exciting at the same time. They're forced to escape before the lava overheats and destroys the base, though. So the Mandalorian flies off because he realizes that Moff Gideon isn't actually dead. Oh my god. We already knew that. But they have finally found out that Moff Gideon is still alive, and he realizes the baby, or the child, is still in danger. So he jetpacks off to Navarro base, while Karga, Dune, and Mythol steal a stormtrooper transport. This thing is super cool looking, and a chase to the style of Fast and Furious ensues, with speeder bikes starting out, and it's just such a perfect moment, because the speeder bikes are next to this giant transport, and she just rams him into the side. I'm like, I don't know what you're expecting to do on a speeder bike compared to this thing, but it's just going to knock you off. And then after the speeder bikes are taken out, they have TIE fighters coming in to start chasing him. I'm not sure if he was trying to hit the actual TIE fighters in this point, or if he was trying to just hit, like, rocks into the TIE fighters. But if he was trying to hit the TIE fighters, he is a worse shot than stormtroopers are. Because he was pathetic. Like, that was bad.
It was a rough sequence of events.
Yeah. The base soon explodes due to overheating from the lava because they decided to make a base in the middle of lava flats. Who makes a base in the middle of lava if you don't have, like, the tools and, like, the proper stuff for it? What the heck? So useless. The Empire is just so useless. There are so many places on this, like, planet that weren't covered in lava. Like, just build a thing there.
There's a reason why they don't exist anymore.
That's true. But I digress. The base has exploded, and the TIE fighters come close to taking out Dune, Karga, and the Mithril. But, lo and behold, Noah comes in from the skies. Oh no, my thing ran out of batteries. So I'm dark again. I'm just going to braid myself up really quick as I keep talking. But who appears? But it is the Mandalorian with Baby Yoda in the Razor Crest to continue the fight. There we get a sweet fight sequence in the air here. But he, of course, because it's the Mandalorian, he destroys all of them without getting hurt too much. But there's just a little too much spinning for Baby Yoda, and he pukes on himself because, you know, every TV show now needs to have somebody puking at some point because that's just how TV is now. Because it's funny, apparently?
Yeah.
Sure. But he kind of spits up on himself. Yeah. But you also see he's still eating the cookies, so he took the entire thing of cookies and didn't give any back to the boy, which is hilarious. Now with his ship repaired and Navarro secured from the Empire, Mandalorian heads off to Corvus to track down Ahsoka Tano. We get a little scene here, too, of the New Republic visiting Karga to investigate the incident with Captain Carson Teva noting something is brewing and we need to put a stop to it. Teva speaks with Dune, who tries asking for her help in fighting the remnant of the Empire. When Alderaan, Dune's homeworld, is mentioned, she tells Teva that she lost everything after destruction, which makes sense. She lost everyone she ever knew because it blew up, which was really sad. We then get a short... Yeah, right? We get a short scene of the Imperial officer receives the confirmation from one of the mechanics working for Grief Karga that a tracking beacon has been put on the Razor Crest, and Moff Gideon is informed and declares that they will be ready when they come. And that's the end of the episode. Again, not a lot happened in this episode. It got a lot of action, a lot of, like, that kind of stuff, but not a lot, like, story-driven things. Except for that one little part. So I will get into that a little bit later, but I want to get your, like, overall... Kind of like... You say you didn't have a lot of gripes about this episode, which is awesome. Like, I think that, again, you don't need to have an episode that does everything every time. I do like when things push the story forward, which was, I think, inadvertently did, but it also wasn't so, like, overpowering that I think next episode will be overshadowed. So, it's that hard give and take with TV shows, I think. And I think that people are going to complain that this was kind of like a lower story-driven episode and that kind of thing, but I think you need this. I need this. You need, like, a break, especially... I mean, obviously going week to week is a little harder, but if you're binging this kind of thing and it's just upwards action all the time, you'll eventually burn out. Like, it just gets to be too much.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of feel like it's not cable TV. And when it's a streaming service that's supposed to be a different tier from cable TV where you have the ability to stretch out your episodes, I think every episode counts. And I think, for some people, like you said, you like a little break. That's cool. I think for me, what makes this show, at least in my opinion, what makes these shows so different from other cable access shows is that, yeah, you don't have 22 episodes and you're not in syndication week to week. And I feel like, so if every episode counts, there's no need to stall or drag something out. And I guess that's why, for me, my only qualm with this episode is like, can we live without this episode to see what happens next?
Yes.
To me, the answer is yes. The only thing that was really, I guess, really helped push the story was like the last sequence in the scene with Moff Gideon. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh shit, they planted the trap on his thing. Like, he needed to get his ship. The Mandalorian needed his ship fixed. Where are you gonna get fixed? You're gonna get it fixed at a place where you know and you trust. Lo and behold, that place that you trust, you have a bug on your ship now. So
yeah, but I mean, we could have also had that from the last place, right? The Mon Calamari could have just fixed his ship normally and planted a bug, right? That could have just been what drove that same storyline. So I don't think this that kind of thing was needed per se to drive it forward, because we could have had this exact scene, like this tiny little scene at the end, be shoved into the last episode, but have the Mon Calamari have actually fixed his ship properly, and then just skip this entire thing. Except, again, for, I think, the lab scene. I think that drives the overall plot of Star Wars forward. Maybe not so much the plot of The Mandalorian forward.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Like, it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, whatever, like, and I guess, like, I don't really have a beef with the episode, because it was kind of neat to see him come back. It was nice to see these characters. You get one, Jon Favreau. You get one. So for me, I'm okay with it, and I just wasn't, like, it was so fascinating, because when I'm watching it, I'm like, I wasn't at all, like, normally old me, I think, would have been like, what the fuck? But I was kind of like, yeah, okay. Like I said, it didn't hurt the storyline. Like I said, you could not watch this episode and skip it, and you'd be fine to see what happens next. Because, here's my hot take on this episode. What's the difference between this episode and a little quick recap?
Nothing.
Like those quick recaps that you see. I'm feeling like I didn't need to see the whole episode. Last episode, need to see the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Episode before that, need to see the whole episode.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I thought it was cool that we got to see, like, reoccurring characters.
Know what I should do? I should edit this episode and the last one together, so when he leaves the planet, his ship is like actually fixed, and you just throw that in, like, that one scene in there, and that just have that be the thing, and just like show it to someone, see if they actually notice the difference.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that makes the most sense to me. So, yeah, it was cool to see.
I mean, it was cool to see some of the characters, though, and, like, to see that when he left, things got better. Like, I did like that portion of it. I think that you needed that kind of thing, right? You need to show that what he did in the past is actually making a difference in the future, right? Because the Cara Dune never would have gone to Navarro if it wasn't for the Mandalorian. Grief probably would have still been a dick if it wasn't for the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda saving his life. Like, so you can kind of see, like, this trickling effect of the good that the Mandalorian's actually doing throughout the series and throughout the universe, even though he doesn't actually want to. Like, he doesn't need to, it's not part of his creed, it's not part of anything like that. It's just, he's doing these things to help himself, but inadvertently, they're also helping so many other people. And I think that's interesting to see in a character that, again, is more in it for his own, like, success, his own stuff, but to see that these small actions he's taking are affecting so many people in such a positive way. So, like, in a way that he is a hero in that kind of way too. So, yeah, I think it just gives you, like, some stuff about the character himself.
Yeah, and I also think that there's a lot to be said about the commentary on how you don't necessarily need huge organizations to take care of you. For example, while the Empire was still in existence, Navarro was not a great place to be. Post-Empire, it wasn't a great place to be. And then post them taking over and making it better for themselves, it is a good place to be.
Exactly.
So I wonder if there's a commentary there on, like, anarchy and anarchism, because according to, maybe I've misread it, but basically anarchy in a lot of ways is no essentially branch of government is overlooking the community. The community takes care of itself. And I think that's why a lot of people find anarchy to be, they misallocate it to what the Joker is.
Yeah.
And where in fact it's actually anarchy is more. And again, I'm not saying like I'm the official expert on what the political ideology of anarchy, but I do feel like there's something to be said about doing it for yourself and doing it for your community.
Mm-hmm. And it's like almost like when a community overrides a dictator and puts like someone in power that they trust and they know, and that person isn't a dick like the dictator was, like who actually wants to help the community, right? Like you don't need outside forces to take your country like from that kind of that situation you're in to where you want to be, but instead like you take over your country and you make it better, right? So again, if that is anarchy, like I'm not sure because I don't actually know like the political terms for that, but like it works so well.
It is, you are replacing one kind of like authoritarian regime for another, because you're not really having democracy. Like nobody voted Grief into being in this position of power. He just literally took it.
Yeah, I guess they voted him as like the head of the Bounty Hunter Guild though, right? So I guess, and the Bounty Hunter Guild kind of owned that area too. Yeah. So
it's a difficult thing, and I guess for me, I wonder if that's the thing of talking. I mean, I don't know. I'm not one to support those beliefs. So
again, it'd be awesome if we had like a friend who was like a political science major or something like that to come on and talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah, like I do think they do need some help, but there's an interesting commentary on how the Empire and the New Rebellion or the New Order aren't really helping. Like, the official representatives of both those things aren't really like huge factors. Like with the X-Wing pilot that's there, he's just questioning, and then he's just going to take it back to his team for what purpose? Like, there's nobody there.
It's like why is he there?
Got it all clean. It's all sorted out. Let's go, guys.
I get why he's there though. Like, I guess I can go into like my big kind of web of stuff why this all matters to the overall universe. If we want to jump into that for a bit, we can go back to some other stuff, but I might as well get this out here now. So, for people who don't know a lot about the Star Wars overall universe, there was obviously cloning in the prequel series that started the Clone Wars. And it was started by a race, or I guess on the planet of Kamino, by these aliens that cloned Jango Fett to create the clone army. It was originally made for a, I guess he was technically a Sith, but he was like a Jedi who was like bad at the same time. So they created this army, so they had clones. We have seen the same kind of logo is on that Doctor's side crest. Who is now working for the Empire, who is in that weird facility. From here, we saw some of the weird-ass test tubes. Well, the test tubes look exactly like the test tubes that we see in Episode 9, when they were cloning the Emperor to try and create Supreme Leader Snoke. So we have Supreme Leaders, like, an idea of, like, having the clone of the Emperor to create this Supreme Leader Snoke in order to create the First Order, which is the kind of subset or the next step of the Empire. Still controlled by the Emperor, who is kind of like in that weird ass machine. If you haven't seen Episode 9, these are all spoilers. It's been out for years. Get over yourself. So we go from that back to here, and they're talking about this high M count. Well, I think in order to create a clone who can use the Force, they need some kind of infusion of metachlorians into this clone, because metachlorians attach onto living things, but if you don't have metachlorians in you to start with, then it's harder to actually like gain them later, that kind of stuff. That's why not everyone can be a Jedi. So if they're trying to get Baby Yoda's blood into these clones in order to sustain them as well as give them the Force to create the Supreme Leader Snoke, they need to bring it all in and get it working properly. And because this is before the First Order takes over and all of that, then it makes sense for them to create these cloning facilities and try and get Supreme Leader Snoke first cloned into existence in order to get later and turn Kylo Ren and lead the First Order. So it's kind of like all kind of alluded and going in there, but that's where I'm thinking all this is going, and this is why the New Republic wants to get a handle on it, because they see that this uprising starting to happen with the creation of like the First Order kind of thing, right? There's more stuff in the books about how they put together their army and they kidnap kids and stuff for that, but it's kind of this like transition into what the final film did, and I think kind of almost like a retconny trying to explain this thing that people had problem with and were confused about, but trying to make it into this is something that they were always working on after it because they needed someone to lead them, right? So it's a little bit convoluted, but I think that's kind of where they're trying to go with it, and that they're trying to create Supreme Leader Snoke right now, who really is just a pawn of the Emperor. Yeah. Sorry if you guys did not get that. Maybe one day I'll put together like a little graphic, like with all the arrows and stuff. I tried to explain it to my mom because she also watches The Mandalorian, and I think she got a little confused when I did. So, yeah.
Question.
Yes.
We say retcon. Are we talking about the military term, or are we talking about something different?
Retcon. It's to remake a history, basically. So it's to change things in a movie to like change the overall meaning of something else, right? So in Solo, they retconned the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs because people always complained that it's a distance, like it's a space thing, not a time thing, right? When he says, I made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Well, in the Solo movies, they retconned it so that it showed that it was a distance, like one of the pathways was only 12 parsecs. Or say in, what was the other one? In Rogue One? Yeah, Rogue One. Is that what the movie's called? Yeah, it must be Rogue One. Yeah, so Rogue One, they retconned the reason why the Death Star had a huge flaw that you could shoot one missile into it, right? And have it blow up. So these are just things that movies and books and all things to do, that they try and explain something from the future in a past thing.
Okay. I thought it was like from the military term of readiness control.
No.
Or readiness condition, to say that this thing is ready for the next thing.
I guess that's probably where it comes from. But I think it's reconstruction is where it really comes from. Like reconstructing a narrative.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so lots of cool things there. Again, it's a little convoluted, so if people didn't understand my explanation, I could always maybe just send me like a DM or anything, and I can like maybe write it out and do all that kind of stuff if you want to know more. If you don't give a crap about what I'm talking about, that's fine too. I just got really excited when I saw that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I dig it.
So I've got a couple Easter eggs here. Obviously, the first one was from my explanation, where you see like the clone that looks just like the clones later on that you see in episode 9 of the Supreme Leader. I don't know if you caught this. There's actually a statue of IG-11 in Navarro.
No.
Yeah. So as they're walking into the school, there's actually a statue behind them of IG-11, which makes so much sense because he saved everybody.
He saved everybody.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. I didn't see a lot of other ones in there other than when they were taking over the base. It looked exactly like episode 4 when they were taking over the Death Star, like getting their way through there. Right. Even to the point of having the bridge that didn't extend, as well as the weird reactor thing they had to like inch across that Obi-Wan would have inched across for the turning off the shield and stuff. So some cool things there, not a whole lot. I don't think they went too crazy on Easter eggs this time, which I'm happy about. I think that when you over Easter egg a episode, it takes away from the overall feel and take of the episode itself.
Right.
But adding those little things, I thought the IG-11 statue is like the best Easter egg they could have put in here.
It's very cute.
Yeah.
I do dig that. I dig that big time.
Yeah.
I do think. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm sorry. I have like very little to say about this episode because it just like there's.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I ain't got nothing. Like
yeah.
I said, my only critique is that it just felt like we really didn't need it.
Didn't need it.
But I'm okay with it because we're on bonus time. I've had.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the only one now that has gone a little bit funny.
Yeah.
So,
But
I'm
unlike fillers from the last season, like the jail one, and there was another one that was really fillery. Like these didn't feel like a bad filler. It felt like something that did add something to the thing, and it was exciting to watch.
Yeah.
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 Great. Well, I don't actually have anything else. I like you. I think that this didn't need a whole lot of discussion. I think that it's fun to like talk about it a bit, but at the same time, other than that huge explanation I did, it is what it is. It was a fun episode with a chase scene and a lot of fighting and getting to see where some of these characters that we grew to love in the first season, what they're doing now.
True that.
Yeah.
I do have a meme for you though.
Oh,
So,
you want to set that over on Facebook? I'll throw that in.
I did it.
Perfect. I will grab that really quick. And while I'm grabbing this, I can talk a little bit about some fun, some fun things that are coming up. Let me just get this into here. Actually, do you want to riff a little bit while I do this?
Yeah, sure. I can just say, like, for this one, I thought it was appropriate for our meme today, just because, like, the COVID numbers are still very high in the place that we both live, and I think it's really important that just people stick to them rules and are safe, and then we can just, like, we're very close to hopefully getting those mass vaccinations out, and a year from now, we'll be able to kind of not resume back to normal, but pretty close to it. So that's very exciting. But we can only do that if we wear a mask.
All right, so it is now up on the screen. So
that's where my joke is from. And so this is from Reddit user Kevin. No, I've mispronounced that. And it just says, "This is the way." And it's, as you can see there, it's a little tweet that this person found.
Yeah.
So, right on.
So from @sunset_so_fresh, I told my daughter to grab her mask so we can go to the store. This was the mask she grabbed, and it is a mask of Jango Fett from episode 2 and 2. Episode 2. Very, very cute.
But you're gonna tell me, bro, that she's wrong? You're gonna tell me that she's wrong? She's not wrong. She's
Man, if I ever have a kid and I'm like, oh, you need to grab your mask, and they don't grab a Star Wars mask that I've definitely put on them multiple times, I'm gonna be disappointed in them.
I think so.
Like if they aren't in their Stormtrooper mask, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah. Again, this is the way.
This is the way. All right, so some exciting things before we do our full wrap up. We are going to be doing a second thing of the Cooperative Reviewers Couch, going into movies again, bringing back the Hurricane, and I might even try and get one or two other people onto those episodes. I'm reaching out to people right now. But we are going to be doing some holiday movies. That's right. I think we're starting with The Night Before, which is the hilarious movie with... God, I can't remember any of their names right now. The guy who played Falcon... We got, Gabe, remind me, I think Gordon-Levitt in Night Before?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Gordon-Levitt.
And Seth Green. Right? No, Seth Rogen? No, Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen, the guy who played Falcon, and JJL.
Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, there we go. Gabe's got this. Everyone knows that I'm not good with actors' names. I just know what other movies they've been in. So I'm very excited for that. We're going to be announcing that full schedule probably later this week once we've solidified it. I have a list that I'm going to be sending to you guys later this afternoon of ones we can choose from, and kind of like different genres and stuff too. So very exciting. I love holiday movies. Like I will watch any kind of holiday movie except horror movies, because horror does not belong in this time of season. I'm sorry if you don't believe that too, but I do. This is supposed to be a time to feel good, not to worry about getting murdered in your sleep. But yeah, so I'm very excited for that. I'm the kind of person who will also like binge on any kind of holiday movie, including like Hallmark movies, to a crazy amount. Even if they're terrible, I'll still watch them because they just feel good time of year. And, at the end of the year, sometimes we need it, especially this year. I mean, let's be honest, this has been kind of a shitty year for everybody. So this is going to be a great time to like get that feel good kind of moments. I also am happy to announce that I'm going to be going into a more full-time streaming and podcasting mode come December. I have decided to leave my work and jump into a content creation kind of model, focusing on, again, entertainment. So movies, TV, as well as video games. But also I'm going to be announcing a couple new podcasts outside of that. So I'm very, very excited to get that going, and they're going to be rolling out over the next year. So all very, very exciting. Cooperators is starting to expand. Our marketing is going to be getting out there more. Our social media is going to be upgraded. I'm just stoked. I'm just so stoked, and I'm sure you guys can see that with my face and my tone. I'm just very excited to like bring more awesome content to all of you, and I'll be on a more regular. Yep.
I was gonna say, and on top of that, you're on TikTok.
I am on TikTok now. I'm on. Well, we're also on YouTube now too. Yeah, we've been upgrading our social media game. So if you want to check us out on TikTok, it is /the Cooperators or @the Cooperators. I don't know how TikTok works really still. I just post to it. But yeah, very, very exciting. I'm very stoked about being able to bring all kinds of new content to everybody and bring like even higher levels of regularity. So I will be putting up my December schedule probably this weekend coming up. And it will probably be about 4 to 6 hours a day, depending on the day, because I will have other projects I need to work on. But I'll be live for those 4 to 6 hours and just bringing you guys more Cooperator awesomeness. But beyond that, let's get into the wrap-up. As you know, this has been the Cooperators Viewers Couch, the Mighty Mandos podcast. You can catch us each and every week on twitch.tv/theco_operators, as well wherever you get your podcasts. You can also see us on social media. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we now have TikTok, and we have YouTube. If you ever miss an episode and don't want to just listen to us and see some of the stuff that we put up on screen, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube. We usually get the videos up within a day or two of recording. You can also see highlights of our streams as well as the full streams on Twitch as well as on YouTube. Beyond that, though, we would love to get any questions, comments, anything like that. Either send us a DM on any of those platforms, or you can email us at thecooperatorsEntertainment@gmail.com, and we will make sure to read them and talk about them. And if we like the question, then we will even read it on air for you guys. But beyond that, because I don't think we had any this week, we will go to Gabe's question of the day.
Okay, this one is, I've thought about it for a while, and literally it was the first thought I had after the episode ended, which is, wait, are you telling me that base exploded even though those 2 stormtroopers were at the console fixing the switch? They had a lot of time. They had a lot of fucking time.
But we all know that stormtroopers are useless. They're all awful at what they do. But yeah, you're right. I didn't even think of that. Like, I remember them like going over to the Switch, but I don't remember them. Yeah, that's crazy. They had so much time.
There was 2 of them too. There was 2 of them, and they're hunched over the console, being like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh wow, I guess they'll fix it maybe." And I guess this is the reoccurring bad guy, this boss, this thing. And then, sure enough, the whole thing fucking explodes, and I'm like, "Oh, I guess." If you're a bad guy, don't hire stormtroopers.
Yeah, like these guys are useless. Because you're right, they had so much time. Why didn't they just press the... Wow. Yeah, that is fucked.
That is fucked.
All right. Well, thank you, Gabe, for that. And thank you, everyone, for listening or watching. Watching if you're live with us, or listening if you come to us later on. We appreciate all of you, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.